Peace. What's the word? What's happening, everybody? Hopefully, everybody is having a powerful, peaceful, productive Saturday, enjoying the weekend. Hopefully, y'all got about 45 minutes to an hour to tap in with the kid, listen to the build, add on. So, I'm going to give y'all about 3 to 5 minutes to tap in with me. Let me know how we living and feeling on this wonderful Saturday. What's the word, man? How we living? Y'all see the subject matter for the day. We talking about therapy and the black man and why I'm not going to say a lot of us are hesitant to go, but I'm going to definitely give some of my reasonings for being a little hesitant to deal with therapy and all that good stuff. Some of y'all may be able to relate. Some of y'all will probably not be able to relate, but it's all good, man. Either way, you should be able to extract some jewels from this particular build, man. But let me know how y'all living and feeling on this wonderful Saturday, man. What's the word? Lindell, peace. What's happening? How we living? How we feeling? How we holding up on this Saturday, man? What y'all doing? What y'all got going on? Hopefully y'all staying healthy, man. Getting them fruits and veggies in, drinking that water, exercising, getting proper rest, all that good stuff. Boom, peace. What's happening? What's the word? How y'all living? How y'all feeling? JF, peace. What's happening? What's the word? And then I also want to state, add the disclaimer that what I'm gonna say about therapy, I'm not against therapy in no way, shape, or form. I'm just going to give my reasonings for why I currently do not go to therapy and why I may be a little hesitant to go to therapy. But I'm not against it. So if you are a black man and you go to therapy, man, more power to you. I may eventually get there, but I'm just giving my reasonings for being a little hesitant. Some brothers may be able to relate, but I'm gonna build on that. But I'm not against it. I'm just going to give my reasonings because folks have asked me in the physical about why I don't go to therapy, why I feel like black men don't go to therapy and all that type of good stuff, man. And I can only give the answer from my experience. I can't speak for other brothers, but I can definitely speak on why it's not something that I'm in a rush to go do. CC, peace, what's happening? High top, what's happening? Harlem beloved, peace, what's happening? CC for sure. Definitely a topic that needs to be discussed, most definitely. And also, because I feel like it's a lot that's attached to therapy in and of itself, and I feel like that once you state that you don't go to therapy or that you are hesitant to go to therapy, people automatically assume that you think you know everything and that you got a bunch of problems or a lot of trauma that you holding on to and you are suppressing. Like, I just want to say, just because somebody opts not to go to therapy doesn't mean that they are not doing the proper work on themselves. That's something that's a point that I want to get across. Just because a brother say, look, I'm not going to therapy, I'm not a fan of therapy, that doesn't necessarily mean that this brother is not working on himself and that he is holding on to a lot of negative energy and trauma and things like that. They may not just rock with the therapy that most people are talking about when they mention therapy. They may not want to go talk to a therapist and all that type of good stuff. That may not work for them. That form of therapy, in my opinion, doesn't work for everybody. So you got to know yourself. It's plenty of people that I know that have went through that therapy process, talking to folks and things along those lines, and they didn't necessarily come out better. So I just want to get that point across, man, that just because somebody opts not to rock with therapy, the therapy that we are discussing now, like going to talk to somebody and things like that, talk to the professional, so they call them. The reason why, I mean, not the reason, but people opting not to go do that doesn't necessarily mean that they are not working on themselves. So that's a point that I just want to make, because a lot of people feel, or I feel like a lot of people feel that way when we say, nah, man, I don't rock with therapy, I ain't going to therapy, this, that, and the third. They look at us like we hard-headed and we think we know everything. Well, some of us know ourselves well enough to know that form of therapy that's just not it for me, or for us. Shakira, what's happening? Harlem Beloved, man, exactly. You know, and again, me rejecting what everybody refers to as therapy, again, is not me rejecting help. It's just that one form of assistance or working on myself that I reject. You know, I don't feel like that's the end all be all. I don't feel like that's the total solution to ridding yourself of trauma, negative experiences, and negative energy, things like that. I do plenty of work on myself outside of that form of therapy, you know. So I don't feel like that's just going to solve everybody's problems. Like if we just go to therapy, everybody's problems will be solved. Like, nah, I don't feel like that's going to happen. Now, some people will benefit from therapy. Some men will benefit. Some men have benefited from that form of therapy. I'm not against it, but I feel like it doesn't benefit everybody the same. And I just feel like that's what it is. Like you got to do what works best for you. Like I know at the end of the day, which, and this is a point that I've made to people, some people feel better when they talk about their problems and things like that with a stranger or whatever the case may be. Talking about my problems and all of that type of good stuff doesn't necessarily do anything for me. You know, it doesn't necessarily make me feel any different about myself and my circumstances. Just talking to somebody and then having them piece together the dots and all that type of good stuff like that doesn't really necessarily do anything for me. Or I would just say just talking to people, just getting stuff off my chest doesn't necessarily make me feel better like a lot of people claim. You know, I've done plenty of getting stuff off of my chest and I still feel exactly the same after I get it off my chest. Like I don't necessarily feel relieved that, oh man, I got this off my chest. Now I can go about my life. Other people feel that way, but that doesn't necessarily do anything for me, you know? Now I don't know if some of you all can relate, but that's how I be feeling, man. When I be talking about certain things, getting things off my chest, like it doesn't necessarily make me feel one way or the other. It just feels exactly like that. I was just talking to somebody and this is what we talked about. That's literally how that makes me feel. I can't sit here and say after I done talked to somebody or after I done got something off my chest that I felt great after the fact or that I even felt worse after the fact. Like I can't really say that. You know, I don't necessarily be feeling that way when I be having certain conversations with people and I just dump things on them or whatever the case may be. If it's an even exchange, like I don't, it doesn't necessarily move me the same way that it moves a lot of other people. Dominique, peace. What's happening? Yeah, and again, I know plenty of people. I know plenty of brothers. You know, I got some brothers that's close to me. And hey, Bobby, peace. What's happening? I know some brothers that have benefited from it 1,000%. You know, and again, it comes from knowing yourself. You know, eventually I may get to that point where I'm trusting somebody enough to where I can sit down with them and chop it up on that type of level and that type of vibe. Right now, I'm not necessarily there with it yet. You know, I'm doing a lot of work on myself, making a lot of progress with myself. And you know, we always gonna be a work in progress when it comes to the self work. You know, so I'm always exhausting all my options just outside of having to include another person in the mix. You know, and once those options for me are exhausted, then I may seek, that type of assistance, man. But I'm always striving to exhaust those options first. Things that I can do on a day-to-day basis that doesn't necessarily require some intervention from another person, but eventually I may get to that point where it's like, all right, man, I did all this work on myself. I still feel like there's some things that I need to clean up. Let me bring in this third party and see how they view this particular situation. Dominique, for sure, I can relate to that. And Ronnie, you said I can relate if your trauma is too much. Uh, hey, Elijah, peace for the cash app. You said if the trauma is too much for the therapist to handle, nothing will get done. And that, hey, that's facts. And then when you talking to a person, like I'm the type of person, I don't know about you all, but I'm the type of person when I'm faced with a situation, when I'm faced with a problem, when I'm feeling some type of way, the first thing I go and do is research on it myself. So I'm not the type of person to just wait until till I see a professional for them to diagnose the problem or let me know what's going on. When I'm faced with a problem, whether it's a mental problem or a physical problem, I go do a ton of research on it on my own. So then when I do go see a professional, man, I might be bringing things to them that they didn't even know about in their own profession because I done just did a ton of research on it. Man, y'all see these books, man. I don't just be playing around. Like if I got a physical ailment, like when I messed up my shoulder back in the day, I went and got all the books on how to rehab the shoulder. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right, I'm about to see if I can rehab this shoulder on my own. And if I can't, then let me go find a professional. Man, I had AC separations in both my shoulders. And I went to physical therapy, all these type of good people, man, before I started diving into studying on my own. I went to therapy, man. My shoulder didn't get any better. Matter of fact, it was getting worse. So I started doing the research on my own, figured out how to rehab the shoulder, and now my shoulder is a lot better. But when I was seeing a professional, shoulder wasn't getting any better. It was getting worse. So I'm the type of person, due to all that type of stuff happening to me back in the day, I'm the type of person now, if I'm presented with an issue, if I'm feeling some type of way, if I feel like it's some type of mental thing going on with me, man, I'm about to research it. And I'm talking research it thoroughly. I'm about to read everything that I can about it. So then if I go talk to somebody and they start bringing basic information to me, I'm going to start feeling like that's a waste of my time. And you insult my intelligence because, man, I done already did that. I done already read the basic, books, and I done already watched the basic videos on this condition. So I'm going to need something far in advance because that's how I tend to operate, man. I'm going to read about it because I'm going to tap into myself. Hey, you the best know of yourself, so I'm going to ask myself the questions. I'm going to pay attention to the signs, and then I'm going to research what my body is telling me to research or what my mind is telling me to research, and I'm going to research it thoroughly. So when I talk to somebody that's in that field, man, they, like, for real, can't be bringing basic stuff to me because I'm going to be like, come on, man, we got to speed that up because I done already tapped into that. I'm going to at least know the basics. I'm going to at least know that. And that's just kind of how my mind is wired, and that could be a good and or a bad thing. It can, if you listening from the outside looking in, it could come off like I'm a know-it-all, but no, I just don't like to go into anything blindly. That's how I like to do it. I'm not going to go into any situation blindly. So if I know that I'm going to therapy the way that I'm set up, if I know, okay, I'm going to sign up for therapy, before I even go to an appointment, man, I done probably read 10, 15 books on therapy in and of itself. So I can familiarize myself with the process. So I didn't probably, I'm gonna type in something like, what are the top 10 books that professional therapists read or recommend? I'm gonna go read the books. I'm gonna go read the books that they are reading, so I can familiarize myself with what I'm about to involve myself in. That's the type of stuff that I go and do so I can know what I'm getting myself into. So I don't like to get into anything blindly, and that's just the way that I'm wired. So when I go do something like that, man, the basic stuff ain't gonna work for me. So I would definitely need somebody that's bringing me something that I'm not already hip to. That's part of the credential, or not the credentials, but the qualifications that I would be looking for in a therapist. Man, you got to be very advanced in regards to the tactics that you would be recommending or throwing my way. The entry level basic stuff, I will be past that because I already introduced myself to that and I already did that type of work on myself. So that's one thing. I don't want to go through that phase of it. Cola 314, peace, what's happening? Beast by Bless, W. Atkins, peace to everybody that's tapping in. Okay, yeah, Scholar say sometimes you have to go through a few to find the one that fits for you too. I love therapy. I did CBT and it's retraining my mind. I seen a psychologist, therapist is also much different, you know. And that's that's another thing. It's almost like what I do as a trainer. You know, for the most part, a lot of people go through several different trainers before they find the one that fits with them. So I'm already knowing that'll be part of the process. Just having to vet out different people, different therapists, different psychologists, whatever it is that you tapping into. I know I would have to vet out a few different ones. And to be honest, where I'm at right now in my life, don't feel like I got much time to be doing that. You know, so that's another thing that's kind of hindering me from even embarking on that process now, just knowing that I would have to be vetting out different ones, because I'm quite sure the way that I'm set up as a person, the first one that I talk to, I'm probably not going to end with that one. So I know I'll be the type of person that go through 4 or 5, 6 or 7 different therapists, man, because I just know how I am as a person. Like I know how I can get. Like, nah, like I don't be rocking with people that much anyway, you know, let alone when it comes to that type of relationship. So anything that's slightly off with the interaction, that's gonna be enough for me to be like, nah, let me find somebody else. You know, so it's gotta be the perfect combination. And rightfully so, you know, because I would be revealing a lot to you. You know, I'm not just gonna reveal a lot to a person and I don't rock with them, I don't trust them and things like that. You know, so I feel like that's warranted and justified. You know, I can't have anything being off. You know, I need this to be perfect for me. If I'm about to be revealing all this stuff to you, I'm gonna need for this to be perfect for me. I'm gonna need to be 100% comfortable with this situation, with the person, with the relationship. You know, 100%. I don't want it to be 90. Nah, I need this thing to be 100. Lindell, you say I've always felt that counseling, therapy, or even seeing a psychiatrist doesn't solve anything, because at the end of the day, can nobody change you but you. And that's another thing. I feel like the people that have went to therapy and it has worked for them, I feel like, yes, the therapy deserves some of the credit, but most of the credit goes to you. You know, because the therapist, the psychiatrist, the counselor, they can only plant seeds just like anybody else. Like they can't really make you do the things that they may be recommending, suggesting, whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, you have to be willing to do what it is that they are even recommending that you do. You know, so that is the key. You got to give yourself more credit. You know, we never give ourselves a lot of credit when it comes to just elevating and evolving in life. We give credit, or we give more of the credit to things and people outside of ourselves. You know, even going to the therapist, like, you the one got to do the work. You the one got to make the appointments. You the one got to do what's recommended and suggested of you. So that's you doing more majority of that work. You know, so always give yourself the credit. Always give yourself the credit. Cole, you say you fired 2? Well, man, I probably have fired 10. Yeah, the way I be set up, I probably have fired 10. Yeah, I know how I get. I'm gonna probably fire about 10. Cause I the way I'm wired, man, I just get tired. Like I get bored. I get annoyed with people. Like, I just, not even annoyed. I just get, yeah, I guess it is annoyed. I just get irritated with people, man, when stuff ain't right. Like, I need that vibe to be a certain type of way, man. Straight up. I just need the vibe to be a certain type of way. Like, that's just how I need it in order for me to be comfortable revealing certain pieces of information. You know, I just need it to be a certain type of way. Call it OCD, call it perfectionist, whatever the case may be. You know, if I'm going to embark on something like that, man, where a lot of information is getting revealed and things like that, man, I need it to fit my standards here. You know, and anything that's off, man, I got to disconnect. Hey, Elijah, I don't know. I'll be tapped in, I guess. Dominique, you say, you sound pretty wise for your age. And to be honest, a lot what you be saying, my therapist said. And that's And that's part of where I be at with it. That's part of that. That's what I be. That's what I'm saying basically. When I've had a lot of people tell me that. Matter of fact, I've had a lot of people even recommend me becoming that. Just when you a trainer, I feel like you a therapist anyway. I feel like I'm partially a therapist right now, being a personal trainer. It's crazy. People come in there with their problems all the time. I didn't have people recommend that I even get into that field, which is crazy. But a lot of people have said that because I done trained a lot of people that have went to therapy, things like that, and they have told me that I've said some similar things that they therapists have told them. Like me and they therapist and agreed on a lot of the approaches, and a lot of the things that we've said have lined up. And I said, man, that's because I literally have studied that field. Like I don't even just be talking, like literally, man, I have studied therapy and things like counseling, all of this, man. Like I study it, man. When I know I'm gonna be presented with a problem, or when I'm feeling myself feeling a certain type of way, man, I literally go study it. I go study it. I go find the experts and I go study it. And I feel like that's a form of therapy. So I feel like it's different forms of therapy, man. You got the therapy to where you can talk to somebody else, but I also feel like if I'm tapping into the videos of the experts and I'm reading the books of the experts and I'm implementing the practices in these books and on these documentaries, then that's also another form of therapy. So I feel like it's different forms of therapy. I don't feel like it's just one form to where, oh, you went and talked to a psychologist or a counselor and that's the only form of therapy. No, I feel like there are other forms of therapy, and I feel like I practice those forms a lot on a daily basis. Meditation is a form of therapy. Exercising is a form of therapy. Reading books is a form of therapy. Man, shoot, going to sleep, getting proper sleep is a form of therapy. Eating right is a form of therapy. So I feel like it's a lot of different, it's levels to therapy, and it's a lot of different variations and forms of therapy. You know, Man, I just went to something that they call cryotherapy. Like I just left the second appointment. Y'all saw it if you follow me on Instagram and all that. Y'all saw me go into the cold chamber where the temperature got down about negative 215 degrees. So like I literally just did something called cryotherapy. That's body therapy. So again, it's a lot of different forms of therapy. A lot of different forms, fam. A lot of different forms. Hey, try the task. Peace. What's happening? Man, it's a lot of ways to cure cancer for sure. And they keep a lot of those ways under wraps, and it is very inexpensive, might I add. Very inexpensive. Hey, Dominique, for sure. Now I can see that. Pinpoint and I'm see, and that's another thing. I'm good at I'm good at pinpointing the behavior of other people, because and I feel like that stems from me being very introverted. So a lot of times I'm just observing and paying attention and looking at things. So I always be spot on when it comes to the behavior of other people, because I'm always paying attention to the behaviors of other people. I'm always tapped in and looking and checking my surroundings and seeing how people are moving and things like that, man. I'm always observing. I didn't, man, I be having a lot of people like, man, how you see that? Like, I ain't even know you was paying attention. Like, people don't even be knowing that I be tapped in and paying attention. That's how slick I be getting with it. CC, you say my male cuz is going through a mental crisis at the moment. What, if you don't mind me asking, what's going on with him? D. Roy, you say therapy doesn't include political views and can be done within trusted circles in our communities. Hey, 1,000%. Hey, and I'm not even too mad if therapy does include political views. See, that's the type of therapy hey, throw the political views in there. That's therapy to me. Let's talk about it. My political views may have something to do with why I'm acting the way that I'm acting. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not even opposed to including all of that in therapy, because I feel like if it's a part of me, then it should be included in therapy. So if my political views are a part of me, let's include that. anything that comes with me should be included in the therapy. At least that's how I be feeling. So my political view include all of that, because it may have something to do with my behavior patterns. It may have something to do with why I view something a certain type of way. You know, it may boil down to my political view. It may boil down to my religious affiliation. It may have something to do with all of that. You know, so I don't think any of it is off limits for real. Let's include all that, because it may have something to do with why I see this particular problem the way that I see it. Lorenzo, what's happening? Snuggles, peace, peace. Appreciate the donation. Hey, what link you talking about though? Lindell, I'm big on meditation, yoga, acupuncture. Y'all know I done been to acupuncture a few times, man, for some ailments, and they definitely help. And meditation, most definitely. And I train a sister that teaches yoga. You know, yeah, that stuff right and exact. Now the yoga part, I got to get more consistent with. I'm not as consistent with the yoga, you know, but the meditation, the acupuncture, all for sure, and the cryotherapy that I just got done doing, man, that stuff does wonders for me, fam. I'm for real. I vouch if I vouch for something, man, y'all better believe it's right and exact as far as the physical body go. Because I didn't been lifting heavy in place, and but man, my body done been through it. So if I tell you something is good for the physical body and it's working. Because my body always got some type of ailments going on. You know, so I did this cryotherapy, man. My knees feel great. Man, I had an elbow situation, man, that's gone. Like I feel amazing. You know, so if you can tolerate being cold for 3 minutes, severely cold for 3 minutes, then I recommend doing that. You know, in acupuncture for sure, man. I went to acupuncture for my back, my lower back, and I went for my wrist at one point in time, man. And the few times that I went, man, I noticed significant changes instantly. You know, so I for sure recommend those things, man. The cryotherapy, acupuncture, meditation, yoga. You should be doing some of all of that, for real, along with lifting weights and all that. AR6, you say, no, it's off topic. Hey, nothing is off topic when talking to me. But you say I'm 17, I'm looking for a few books to buy for Cyber Monday. Would you recommend Without Sanctuary? I recommend that 1,000%. Get that, grab that. Without Sanctuary, I definitely recommend it. I ain't even got to hesitate on that one. I definitely recommend. Hey, Terenzo, give your thoughts on it, bro. Give your thoughts on it. We want to hear that. You know. Dominique, for sure. I tell people that all the time. I tell people the trainer needs a trainer. Like I need a trainer. You know what I'm saying? Like I tell people that all the time. That's almost my selling point when folks be acting like they don't need a trainer when it comes to, you know, working out and things like that. Man, I say, man, I say trainers need trainers, fam. So nobody is above needing a trainer. When the trainers, the folks that are qualified professionals, we need a trainer. The massage therapist can't massage her, says she needs a massage therapist. You know what I'm saying? The therapist needs a therapist, you know, at the end of the day. And when I say need, you know, and I'm talking about just from an accountability standpoint. Not that if they don't have it, then they won't be as successful, but I'm talking just strictly accountability, man. It's nothing wrong with me being a trainer, having another trainer, or having somebody train me. You know, nothing is wrong with that. You know, I've been training for 6, 7 years, and I go find somebody who's been trained for 25. I'm about to learn some things. It's gonna speed up my learning curve, my learning process. You know, so I'm gonna bring them on in. So ain't nothing wrong with it. Hey, Tony, for sure. Hey, you the best know of yourself. And again, if I do ever go to therapy, it's not like, because I don't feel like I've made this statement before. Just because you go to therapy doesn't necessarily mean something is wrong with you. That's a statement that I've made. You know, a lot of times we think somebody going to therapy means something is wrong. I don't feel that way, man. If you could be going to therapy and nothing is wrong in regards to like a major issue, a major mental issue. Like you could just be going to therapy just because it's accountability, man. You holding yourself accountable for just releasing certain emotions, expressing yourself, whatever the case may be. Going to therapy doesn't necessarily mean, hey, something is wrong with you, like you have an ailment or a disease or something like that, or even a mental health problem. Like, nah, I don't necessarily equate that to something being wrong with you in regards to going to therapy. So that's how I would be viewing it if I were to go. You know, it'd just be me having a conversation with a professional, running ideas off of each other. That's how I be viewing it. You know, I'm chopping it up. I'm chopping it up with somebody, man, and we running ideas past each other, or they running ideas past me, things that I might have overlooked in my research and studying. You know, that's how I be viewing it. Things that I'm using to better myself. This, what's happening? Sharif, man, peace, what's happening? Callin, what's happening? But I know how tough I am. CC, what's happening? I know how tough I am when it comes to me revealing information to people. Like, I know how I am with it. So I know it'll take time for me to even get to that point. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I keep it honest. You know, I ain't one of them. Like, I'm gonna keep it honest with you. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. I ain't gonna sugarcoat it and act like, man, I'm about to be going to therapy next week. Like, nah, it'll probably be a minute if I ever was to embark on it. If I ever do it, you know what I'm saying? Like, it might, you know, I ain't gonna lie to you. Some people be lying. I'm not. It'll take a lot for me to get that, like, to actually get with the process. You know, I'm not against it, but it'll take a lot for me to actually go sign up for it. I'm not there with it yet. And CC, hold on. Let me see. Let me tap in real quick. CC, what you say you got going on with the cuz? You say my cuz is traumatized about his best friend's death, and he having family issues. Man, listen, that's another thing I want to tap in. I'm glad you brought up death, because a lot of people have in my family, they have commended me on how I have dealt with the deaths that we've had in our family. Like, I'm probably one of the only ones that I ain't never broke down at any of these funerals. Uh, and I've even had, like, I remember my little cuz asked me, she was like, man, how do you be like, how do you be keeping yourself together at these? Like, how do you be keeping yourself together with all with all this death happening around you? Like, man, how are you able to do that? She was like, she can't do it. She can't hold herself together, man. She get to thinking about the folks that died. She get thinking about our grandmother, our cousin, all these type of people. And she get to breaking down all that. And she was just like, man, I noticed that you don't never break down, or don't appear that you break down. You know, and I had to just give her my perception or perspective on death. See, I don't view death in a bad light like everybody else. The way people die can be tragic, but I don't view death in a negative light. So that has enabled me to be able to show up to these funerals and things like that, man, and sit there and not really break down and just move on with my life and not let this stuff bother me. Because I used to deal with death. See, death is one of those topics and those concepts that a lot of people don't want to tap in with. They are afraid of it. I was never afraid to think about it. So I used to think about it a lot back in the day, not doing it to myself, but I just used to think about the concept. And the more I thought about it, the more you think about everything, that will eventually lead to an understanding. And once you understand something, the fear goes away. The negative perception of it goes away. See, the understanding, or an understanding, clears up a lot of trauma. It clears up a lot of fear. It clears up a lot of anxiety. So the more I actually started to tap in and think about the death, the more I started to understand what it is in my eyes. You know, so now it's like when death happens, first of all, natural part of life, you know, and it's the yin and yang of life, man. Death ain't nothing negative to me, and it's a transformation of energy. You know, once I finally understood that and accepted that, I'm like, man, this ain't nothing that I need to break down over. This ain't nothing that I need to cry about. This ain't nothing that I need to allow to affect me moving forward in my life, transformation and energy. That's all it is from a scientific perspective, man. The same things that make up my body exist in this universe. So when we say returning to the essence, that's going back. Them particles going right back into circulation in the universe, keeping life going, keeping life flowing. So ain't nothing negative about that to me. That doesn't make me want to cry when I think about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I tend to view this thing. So when people die, that's just how I'm looking at it. So it's not a negative to me. You know, but again, if you don't face death, if you don't think about it, if you don't contemplate about the meaning of it and all that type of good stuff, then it's going to traumatize you when people around you start passing, man. And I done lost some close people. You know, I done lost some people that's near and dear that I done been knowing since I've been born. But I can talk about them without having to feel like I got to break down. I can live my life without allowing it to bother me or affect me because of the way I view it. And these people died tragically. A lot of them. They died tragically. You know, and y'all see that I'm talking to y'all and it doesn't necessarily bother me to talk about it because of how I view death, how I view life in general. You know, so this stuff doesn't bother me, man. So your cuz, unfortunately, man, just you gotta it's some things about death that you have to accept, you know, and that's what it is. A lot of times, man, we just don't accept certain things, man. You don't want to accept that you're not going to see this person physically anymore, you know, and it's, you got to come to grips with some things, man, when it comes to people around you dying. You know, I'm gonna show you how my thought process and got with death. So I'm the youngest in my immediate family. I'm the youngest sibling, so I'm the baby. So I didn't already processed it in my mind that I should outlive everybody. So I'm gonna have to bury everybody in regards to my immediate family. So that's how it's supposed to go. So I'm not gonna feel any type of way having, because I already accepted that this was gonna have to happen. You know, now some of them die prematurely, then it is what it is. You know, we're gonna face that when it's time. But man, I didn't already accepted in my mind that I'm the baby of the family, so I'm gonna have to bury everybody. How many people are thinking about that like that? Like, I didn't already thought about that in my mind. Like, man, I'm the youngest, so therefore, if everything goes according to plan, then I should be the last one left. I didn't already thought about this. A lot of people don't be thinking about that. A lot of people will have a fear of thinking about that. A lot of people think their parents are gonna live forever. Like, I know my people ain't gonna live forever, man. Like, they in their 60s. You know, they not finna live forever, man. Like, we ain't getting younger out here. So I'm not living in no denial like that. I understand the reality of the situation. I understand the reality of life. I've accepted that a long time ago. You know, so I'm knowing that I'm gonna be faced with a lot of tough decisions in my life and a lot of tough circumstances. So, you know, I didn't accept that. I'm not gonna live in denial. Like, man, nah, man, can't nothing happen to my people. Can't nothing happen to my. Yep, something gonna happen to them, and it should happen to them before something happened to me. That means we living right if that's how that goes. You know, so I've accepted things like that, and I've always talked about the art and science of detachment. A lot of people, you gotta learn detachment. Like, that's learning that has enabled me to maneuver through life quite, I ain't gonna say easily, but that's a very peaceful way to live. Very peaceful way to live, man. Mastering the art of detachment. Oh, Torenzo, that's what you talking about, the Callin Link. Oh, shoot, y'all know I ain't hip. I ain't hip. Dominique, you say how much for that cold therapy, man? They got me signed. I signed up for the membership. It felt so good, man. I think I paid like $168 a month for 2 sessions a week. But I also, with that, I can do the compression, you know what I'm saying? The compression boots or sleeves. I can do a sauna, and I can do something else, man. It's a fourth thing. I forgot what it is. But I got a lot of other things that I could do along with that membership. But I just do that cold therapy, man. I was just, like I said, I just left, man. Body on point. So I feel like I can get back to lifting heavy here soon because I done had to chill out just because of some ailments, man. But I'm doing that body therapy. Hey, Atkins, for sure. Hey, there we go. And I ain't even been on folks' head with the, you know what I'm saying, with the veganism, with the eating. You know, I was on their head on Facebook, man. I was, you know, people out here was eating crazy for Thanksgiving. I let them live though. I need to get back on y'all heads in regards to the way y'all eating out here, man. Let me find out y'all out here eating the swine and all this other stuff y'all shouldn't be eating. I had to get back on. Red Sigma, and see, that's another thing. See, yep, I got the herbs. I know the foods to eat to help with the mind. Like blueberries are a very good food for the brain, for the mind. Hey, bananas too. You know, and I got all the herbs, man. You could do the ashwagandha, man, the passion flower extract, and then the essential oils, man. You could, hey, that lavender is good. You know, peppermint oil, all that type of stuff, man. So I be knowing about all that. So that's why I be saying, man, when I pull up, man, you got to come with your A game, because I'm already doing all that. Man, I take all the herb, Ryodola. I think I'm saying that right. That's another herb. I take the capsules on that. That's good for the mind as well. You know, I got several herbs that just help calm the mind down and all that type of good stuff. So I'll be on point. I might introduce some herbs to the therapists they might not be hip to. And people don't understand that connection too between what you eat and the state of your mind. I definitely understand that. That's why I consume the foods that I consume. You know, there is definitely a connection there. And the brain, I should say, you know, building up your brain. That brain health is essential. I done talked about that in the past, though, you know, about your brain health in relation to your mental health, and how we neglect the health of our brain, and how we don't connect our mental health to the state of our brain, you know, especially us men. You know, a lot of time, a lot of our mental imbalances can stem from, if you play any contact sport back in the day, your brain is probably not in the best of shape, especially if you're not eating a certain type of way. You know, so if you played any contact sport back in the day, you know, now they got all it, but if you played any contact sport back in the day, if you was falling on your head or getting hit in your head consistently back in the day, then your brain is not in tip-top shape, and you need to be eating in a certain type of, you need to be eating a certain type of way to repair some of that damage. And I've talked about this book several times, called The End of Mental Illness. And that's a great book that connects those dots between your mental health and your brain health. So a lot of our mental health problems actually stems from our brain being messed up, like the actual physical brain. And a lot of times people don't make that connection. So they go tell you to do all this talking to folks, oh, wow, your brain is messed up. So if your brain messed up, it don't matter who you talking to. You know, it don't matter who you talking to. If your brain is out of whack, you know, and certain portions of your brain are just all messed up, that's not talking to somebody not going to solve the problem. You have got to repair that damaged part of your brain in order for you to start acting right and exact. You know, and a lot of times we're not making that connection. And that's what they talk about in that book, The End of Mental Illness, making that connection between your mental health and your brain health. Sometimes you might have a person that's schizophrenic, that's bipolar, and all of these other conditions. They may be acting this way because their brain is damaged. And in that book, that therapist, or that guy that wrote that book, he was bringing up some of his clients and how that was the case. You know, he had people that was schizo and bipolar, and he was like, man, they examined the brain, and he found certain correlations in regards to damaged portions of the brain. He was like, all right, man, he put them on certain diets and regimens, and then next thing you know, the bipolar is gone, the bipolar effect is gone, the schizo, it's gone, things like that, you know. So a lot of these mental health conditions, or a lot of these conditions that they say are mental health conditions, actually are brain problems. You know, and a lot of times they don't tell you that. So it's almost like, and I've mentioned this, if you come to me, or if you go to a doctor and be like, hey man, my lower back hurt, outside of them giving you prescriptions for pain pills and all that, what they gonna do? They're gonna be like, man, let's do an x-ray on your back so we can see what the problem is. If you go to the doctor and be like, man, my shoulder is bothering me, what they gonna do? They're gonna be like, man, let's get a picture of your shoulder so we can see what the issue actually is. The way they knew I had an AC separation was because they did an x-ray on my shoulder. And they said, oh man, your AC separate, that's your AC joint. It's separated. Boom. But when we go say, hey man, I'm having these type of thoughts, Don't nobody go say, man, let's go get a picture of your brain. Let's go see what portion of your brain is damaged, and that could be the reason why you're having these type of thoughts. They don't do that. And I feel like they need to start doing that. When was the last time, and I asked this question several times on some lives, when was the last time you seen a picture of your brain? Like when was the last time you seen a picture of your actual brain? You know, and I'm waiting for y'all to ask this question. You know, I mean, answer the question. When was the last time any of you all seen a physical picture of your actual brain to where y'all can tell me what your brain is looking like? When was the last time? When was the last time anybody on this stream seen an actual picture of your brain? It might have been a while in regards to y'all seeing any part of y'all body. But really, when was the last time y'all seen a picture of y'all brain? You know, I done had several injuries, so I done seen shoulders, I done seen backs, I done seen knees. But man, I can't tell you last time I saw an actual picture of my brain. You know, I told you I had separated shoulders, man. I done sprained all type of joints and popped back. I done seen pictures of other body parts, man. I done seen it. At least X-rays, MRIs, all that. I done had all that. But I ain't never sat down, somebody looked at my brain like, look, let's examine this brain. Like, when was the last time you even went? But like, look, man, let me go get a picture. Can y'all give me a picture of my brain? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let me see the state of my brain. You know, we go get blood work done. We go get all these things done when you get a checkup. But when you get a checkup, do you look at your brain? Like when you go get blood work, when you go see what you deficient in, when you go see how your heart pumping, do you also see what your brain is looking like? This is by design. Just listen to what I'm telling y'all, man. This is by design. Think about what I'm saying. When you go to these, when you go get all these checkups and these physicals, how involved is your brain in this process? How involved is your brain? What type of attention is your brain getting during this whole process? When you getting all these checkups and this blood work, what percentage of the focus is going towards the condition of your brain? Y'all know the answer to that. Y'all know the answer to that, man. We ain't seeing that. we ain't seeing that. We ain't seeing it. You know, and they talking about mental health and how big of a problem it is. This stuff is by design. They know what it is, man. They know what it is. But like I said, that book, man, The End of Mental Illness, man, it talks heavily about that. And this particular physician started to look at the brains of his people that was coming in with all these mental health. I'm talking about anger issues. You know what I'm saying? Bipolar, schizo, depression, anxiety, all of these issues. He started studying the brains of his clients, of his people. He started studying their brains. And he started to notice different portions of the brain being affected, being messed up, being damaged. And he's like, oh, okay. So let me put him on a certain diet. You know, let me put him on a certain regimen. You know, meditation, get proper rest, get sunlight, eat these foods, eat that food, eat this one, you know, all that type of good stuff. Exercise. And then see him 6 months later. Now that portion of the brain is healing. And now the condition is getting better. See, this is stuff they don't want you to know. Because if they tell you that this is solely a mental issue, we don't got no picture of the mind. So if I tell you, man, you just going crazy, and I'm like, man, you lost your mind. So if I convince you that you lost your mind, then I'm convincing you there's nothing you can do about that. But then if I tell you that, no, you ain't lost your mind, like your brain is damaged, but it's something that we can do to fix that part of the brain so that can help the condition, now we have a solution. But if I start telling people, man, it's a mental problem, it's like, well, where the mind? Can I get a picture of the mind? We can't do that. You can't do. I gotta make it seem like you just going crazy, and there's nothing we can do about it other than give you this medication. But if I tell you it's a brain-related issue, then that you can eat a certain type of way to repair that damage in the brain, man. They've done it. They've done it. So they gotta make it seem like, man, there's nothing we can do for you physically. We just gotta give you this medication to calm you down. And now you a shell of yourself because they didn't give you this medication. That's what they own. That's what they own. I know plenty of people. I got family members that's on this mental health medication, shell of themselves, some of the smartest people on the planet, and they done put them on this medication. And now you don't even think the person can talk. Dominique, is called the end of mental illness. So I know people that's on that medication. I know it, man. I've seen it. My own 2 eyes, man. I've seen it. And instead of them really trying to get to the root of the problem, they just write it off. Mental health problem. Boom, let's give them this medication. Let's give them this medication that's gonna solve all problems. So they just want to prescribe the medication, and that's it. But ain't nobody striving to get to the bottom of these issues, man, for real, as far as that industry goes. And that's another thing, man. I got to be around somebody as we striving to get to the root causes of these things, not just prescribing me this medication. Nah, we passed that point. Even with the herbs, let's get to the root cause of these things, man. I'm a root cause type of person. Let's get to the root causes of these issues. Like that's what I'm on. Let's get to the root causes of these problems. Like for real. Dominique, for sure. And again, that it also stems from the brain. It stems from the brain. Like the reason why they're able to see some of these things, it has something to do with certain portions of the brain being highly activated or more activated than other parts. That's what really be happening. So they have a certain portion of the brain that's a little bit. So it's like, how it is, Dominique, at times. It's like when you working out and you didn't mess around and tweak the body part, and now the other body parts have to overcompensate, for that body part being injured. It's like that with the brain. When one part of the brain is malfunctioning, then the other portions of the brain got to overcompensate for that. So they're a little bit more aware when it comes to other portions of that brain, because they can't use this center of the brain because it's turned off, it's damaged. So the portions of the brain that they can use are intensified to 1,000 degrees. So that's what be happening. So when you got somebody that's bipolar, that's schizo, autistic, things like that, man, they got certain portions of the brain that's a little bit more, a little bit more focused, a little bit more intensified than the way our brains are functioning if our brains are fully healthy, because they got other portions of the brain that shut off that's not working right. So then the ones that's working right, they working great. It's just like the body. Hey, Q, peace. What's happening? Hey, Corey, what's happening for sure? But yeah, that's how that goes, man. When you got that one portion of the brain don't necessarily work, other portions gonna overcompensate. So they're gonna be hyper alert. They're gonna be hyper aware. So you're gonna be seeing things that can't nobody else see because that portion of your brain is more activated than other people's. That's how that tends to go. Like that's how that tends to go for sure, 1,000%. So be mindful of stuff like that. Be mindful of that. But again, it all kind of goes back into the health of your brain or the condition of one's brain, which is something that we neglect. Which again, that's why I eat a certain type of way. That's why I eat the hemp seeds. That's why I eat the blueberries, man. That's why I throw some bananas in that smoothie, man. I'm doing all this type of stuff, man, to help with the mood, to help with the brain. You know, so we're gonna throw that stuff in a blender and we're gonna blend it up, the chia seeds. You know, we're gonna do that. We're gonna get them omega-3s, man. We're gonna help with that brain health. Q, man, we talking about some everything, man. We talking about why some brothers may be hesitant to talk to a therapist, counselor, whatever you want to refer to them as. We talking about neglecting the health of your brain. Hey, you name it, we discussing it. You know, we just talking about helping oneself, whichever way possible. You know, and I touched on just kind of my reasons for being a little hesitant to go seek therapy. You know, because like one of my major reasons, because like I said, when I'm faced with an issue or when I feel myself feeling some type of way, man, I research it as thoroughly as I can, you know, before I even go talk to a professional, because I don't like to go into anything blindly. So before I sign up for any type of therapy, any type of counseling, I'm going to research it thoroughly on my own and implement whatever it is that I can implement. You know, so I do it like that. So then when I do go talk to the professional, I gotta find somebody that's way advanced, because I didn't probably not master, but I didn't introduce myself to the basics for the most part. So I'm at least be past that point with the basic information. You know, so I'm gonna need somebody that's advanced when I do tap in. But I'm not one of those ones that's gonna wait for somebody to help me with my problems. If I identify a problem within myself, I'm going to first see what I can do on my own. I'm not going to sit around and wait for somebody to diagnose me. When I feel something is off, again, I'm the best knower of myself. So when I feel something is off, man, I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to be proactive. I'm not waiting on somebody to tell me, man, you got this. This is wrong with you. Man, I know what's up. I know what's up 100%, fam. I'm not in denial about my reality. Like I didn't have to wait for somebody. I didn't have to wait to go to a doctor or go to a counselor for them to be like, man, you got anger issues, you got anger problems. Now I was able to see that within myself. So what I started doing, I started buying books on anger, man. You know what I'm saying? I started to study that. You know, I started to see what was up with it. What's the root of all this? I started to ask myself questions. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have to wait for somebody to sit down and clinically diagnose me with something that I already knew I had, because I deal with myself more than anybody else is going to deal with me. So I got to wait for somebody who hasn't been around myself the whole time to tell me what's wrong. Like I already know. I already know that this anger was built up inside of me. You know what I'm saying? So now it's like, all right, man, let me study this. Let me do something about it. You know, if I'm feeling depressed or if I'm feeling some type of way, like I know this and I don't be in denial. Like some people be in denial with it. Like I know. Like I know and I will admit, like, all right, man, we some off right here. You know, let me tap in, man. Let me study this. You know, so you might sift through this book collection I got back here, and you might find books on any and everything. Because at some point I might have been feeling like this was a problem. And then even outside of that, I might just want to study things that I might not be dealing with, but it might be problems that other people dealing with. So I'm studying everything. I'm trying to get to the root of everything, you know. So I got books dealing with any and everything that you can think of, man. Because I'm not gonna sit around and wait. I might not be in a position time-wise to be talking to folks. So I'm like, man, if I'm not in a position, then I'm not going to wait to get my problem solved. You know, so what you gonna do if you just unable to go to therapy? You can't afford it or you lack of time, whatever. What you gonna do? Not get better? Like, nah, I'm gonna get better regardless. You know, so that's where I'm at. I'm not gonna sit around and wait. Like, oh man, I can't see nobody. It's like if my body messed up and I gotta, man, I can't get the rehab, so I'm just going. No, I'm not gonna let my body get worse. I'm gonna rehab on my own. You know, so I'm not gonna sit around and wait to get better. I'm not gonna wait to evolve. I'm not gonna wait to elevate. You know, so that's something that I've always been that way, man. So when I see a problem and sense a problem, and since I'm always evaluating myself, I'm gonna spot a problem quickly. You know, I'm gonna start studying. Start studying, and I'm gonna start implementing ASAP. Man, I implement everything. Man, I done did some everything. You know, any tactic you can think of, I done probably implemented it. Like anything you can think of. Y'all see the way I eat. Why y'all think I changed the way that I was eating years ago? I read about it. I'm like, ooh, they say the way you eat can help with your anger. What I do, I didn't change the way that I was eating. You know what I'm saying? So I'm telling you, man, when I come across something, I'm gonna implement it. And if it works, I'm gonna stay with it. They like, look, man, if you eating all the flesh, that ain't helping your anger. You know what I'm saying? Like they fed the meat to the warriors and the soldiers before they went off to war because it made them angry. So I'm like, okay, so let me eliminate this from my regimen and see what that do for me. I'm still eating the same way 12, 13 years later. You know, so I'm not gonna sit around and wait. You know what I mean? I'm gonna study this problem and I'm gonna implement everything that I come across, and whatever works, I'm gonna keep it. Whatever don't work, I'm discarding. You know, and that's how I tend to operate and function. Another reasoning is I don't want to. I guess you could say it's trust issues, but man, I know like it'll take a lot for me to deal with a person on that level consistently, as far as like having an actual therapist. Like I know where I'm at in my life right now. I know how I'm set up. It'll just take a lot for me to be consistent with that with another person. And at this moment in my life, I'm not ready for that type of commitment because I know where I'm at and I know that I probably wouldn't stick with it and I'll probably get bored with that instantly. I start feeling like, man, I done heard this all before, man. This ain't really doing anything for me. And that's just me being honest. It could be wrong, it could be right. But that's just me being honest with the situation right now. If I was to attempt to go to therapy, I just know it wouldn't last long right now. I'll probably be like, man, all right, I'm wasting my time because I don't have a lot of time as is. So if I go to 3 or 4 of these things and it's real basic, I'm like, man, I don't really have time to be doing this right now. You know, so I'll probably just discard that. So I wouldn't even waste anybody's time with it right now. So I'm not even in the business of wasting folks' time because I don't like when people waste mine. So right now I know I would be wasting somebody's time if I signed up for therapy right now in my current condition. I would feel like I'm gonna waste your time. I already know. You know, I already know. You know, so I ain't even rocking with it right now because I don't want to waste nobody's time. I already know how that'll go. And Vernon, that and now all you had to do was tell me middle-aged white woman. I'm sorry, like that already. Yep. The one time like I talked to, like when I worked at the bank and we got robbed, they brought one of their little therapists or count whatever. They brought one of their little therapists up to talk to us. And I mean, that was like the most pointless situation on the planet. I'm like, man, y'all could have kept her where she was at. This was a white chick came up in there talking to us. I'm like, man, you did not help this situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't even feel no type of way. I just did it because it was free and hey, it got me out of work for a little minute. You know what I'm saying? But man, they brought her up here to talk to me. And I'm just like, man, to show you how ineffective it was, I don't even remember what we talked about. I honestly don't even remember. Like, I don't remember. Like, I was just sitting there looking at her like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she was telling me some stuff. I'm like, this is what like, you came here to tell me something that I already told myself that I already know. Asking me questions that I already asked myself. Like, I was just like, man, lady, you really don't have to be in here right now. You know, I'm just doing this to get up out of working right now. Like, for real, that was a big waste of time. Now, I'm not saying all of them are like that, but she could have just kept that. Q for sure. And I feel like therapy is something that people try to force onto people, or they try to make you feel bad about yourself or guilty or feel like you just a destroyed, traumatized person if you're not in therapy right now and you're refusing to go. Like, people try to make you feel bad about yourself, man. Why you don't want to go to therapy? Why black men don't go to therapy? Well, wait a minute. Like, We saying that like it's a, like, you know what I'm saying? Like some of us might not, we just don't go to therapy. Like quit making us feel like we bad because we don't approach our problems the same way you approach. Like I'm getting tired of people doing that. Like you go to therapy and it works for you, then that's cool. But man, don't try to make me feel bad about myself because I'm not going. You know, because I don't want to go. You know, and sometimes that's what we at. I almost feel like, and this ain't to anybody that's on here and said they didn't went to therapy, but in my physical experience, in the physical, man, sometimes, man, it's almost like people that go to therapy be acting bougie on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I go to therapy. You don't go to therapy? Why you don't want to go to therapy? Man, because I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they be on their high horse when they start telling you they go to therapy. And they start looking down on you when you don't go. Or when you say you don't want to go. Like, man, chill out. You know, and that's what those are some of the experiences that I've had in the physical with folks who go to therapy and hear me say I don't go to therapy. See, that's y'all problem. Y'all black men don't like to go to therapy and this and that. Hold up. Calm down. Just because I said I don't go to therapy don't mean I ain't working on myself. So just because I'm not approaching my problems like you, don't mean I'm not approaching my problems. You know, so I be having to, you know, I be having to kill that. Like, man, y'all got to chill out with all that. Just because some of y'all go to therapy and it works for y'all, don't mean you have to place all us brothers in a box and make us feel bad about ourselves because we may not want to go to that. Don't make us no better, don't make us no worse than the people that's going to therapy. Don't make us no better, don't make us no worse. You know? So I just want to state that. Because a lot of times folks be looking crazy. What? You don't go to therapy? Why you don't want to go to therapy? Like it's a problem. If I just say I don't want to go, man, just leave it at that. Accept it. You know? People don't know how to accept answers out here, man. When you tell them something, people always got to interrogate you, man. Why you don't want to go to therapy? What's wrong with therapy? Nothing. I just don't want. It's not for me. Oh, how you know? Because I know myself. You know, that be that I know myself, man. When I'm ready to do something like that, I'll do it. What they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When the therapy is ready for me, the therapist will appear. You know what I'm saying? So that's how I approach it. Right now, I know I'm not in the. Right now, I know that's not for me. You know, I know that 100%. So I don't let people guilt trip me and make me feel bad because you dude say he don't go to therapy, he out here talking crazy. Nah, we good. You know, we feeling good for sure. You know, but y'all, with that being said, man, I gotta make my way, man. I got some moves to make tonight. So I don't want to hold y'all for too long, man. This was about a good little over an hour, man. So that's the time that I had, man. But I gotta get myself ready, man. Gotta be out here, make some moves, man. Y'all know I don't get out much, man. So I gotta get on up out the crib. You know, y'all know how it is. You know, but I'm gonna let y'all get back to enjoying the rest of y'all Saturday, man. Y'all be easy. Y'all stay healthy out here, man. Stay peaceful. All that good stuff, man. I'm gonna tap in with y'all when I tap in, man. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend. I'm out. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate donations, cash apps, all that good stuff, man. Y'all be easy. I'm out. Peace.